A senior figure in Russia's parliament has opened the possibility of a significant enhancement of Venezuela's military capabilities through the delivery of long-range missile systems. Alexei Zhuravlev, first deputy chairman of the State Duma Defense Committee, stated that Moscow does not rule out supplying either cruise missiles or ballistic missiles to strengthen the deterrent capacity of the Venezuelan armed forces amid rising tensions with the United States. According to Zhuravlev, details regarding the number and types of weapons that could be delivered remain classified. As a result, he suggested that Washington could face an unexpected surprise. He further emphasized that there are no international legal barriers preventing Russia from transferring advanced weapons systems to friendly states, including recent developments such as the Oreshnik ballistic missile and the Caliber cruise missile, both of which have been tested in operations. These remarks were made alongside confirmation of deliveries of short and medium-range air defense systems, including the latest Pantsir and Buk M2, to reinforce Venezuela's air defenses. At the same time, the United States is reported to have steadily increased its military presence around Venezuela over recent months. Several reports indicate that Washington is considering strike options aimed at toppling the government in Caracas. Although Venezuela possesses one of the strongest air defense networks in Latin America, its limited ability to threaten U.S. warships on the high seas or strategic targets on U.S. territory is seen as weakening its overall deterrence. In this context, the deployment of Russian-made long-range cruise or ballistic missiles could significantly alter Washington's strategic calculations. Compared with the procurement of advanced combat aircraft, such missile systems are relatively less costly and offer asymmetric deterrence with lower operating expenses. One of the most striking options under discussion is the Oreshnik intermediate-range ballistic missile. The system was first used in combat on November 21st against targets in Ukraine, marking its official public unveiling. Russian President Vladimir Putin later confirmed on June 23rd that Oreshnik had entered mass production. The missile is designed with multiple hypersonic glide vehicles capable of evading air defense systems and independently engaging different targets. With an estimated range of up to 4,000 kilometers, Oreshnik could theoretically reach much of the continental United States should a conflict involving Venezuela escalate. However, deploying such a system to Latin America would represent a major escalation not seen since the Cuban Missile Crisis, and while legally permissible, it would run counter to prevailing international norms. Nevertheless, Moscow's decision to supply Oreshnik to Belarus indicates that export options are not entirely closed. As a simpler and faster-to-deploy alternative, Russia also possesses the land-based 9M729 Novator cruise missile system, as well as the Bastion coastal defense system armed with P-800 anti-ship missiles. The 9M729 reportedly has a range of up to 2,500 kilometers, sufficient to reach targets across the entire state of Florida. In the past, Russia has deployed two 160 strategic bombers to operate from Venezuelan air bases during periods of heightened tension with the United States. However, equipping Caracas with an independent retaliatory strike capability against targets on U.S. territory or U.S. warships in the Caribbean would be far more effective. Such a move would not only strengthen Venezuela's bargaining position, but also reduce its reliance on a direct Russian military presence to ensure its security. These developments have once again placed the Caribbean region under intense global geopolitical scrutiny. For the United States, the potential deployment of Russian missile systems in Venezuela is not merely a bilateral issue, but a strategic challenge affecting regional security and the credibility of U.S. deterrence in the Western Hemisphere. For decades after the Cold War, the United States has faced little risk of nearby land-based long-range missile threats, meaning any shift in the status quo could trigger strong diplomatic or military responses. In Moscow, discussions about bolstering Venezuela's capabilities are widely viewed as a countermeasure to the pressure Russia perceives in various regions, including Eastern Europe. Russian officials and analysts frequently point to the expansion of Western military infrastructure near Russia's borders as a precedent that, in their view, justifies symmetrical actions elsewhere. Within this framework, Venezuela is positioned as a strategic partner through which Moscow can demonstrate that pressure on Russian interests will not go unanswered. For Caracas, the prospect of acquiring Russian long-range missile systems is framed as an effort to strengthen sovereignty and national deterrence. For years, the Venezuelan government has insisted that its military modernization is defensive in nature, aimed at preventing foreign intervention. With longer range and more precise retaliatory capabilities, Venezuela could significantly raise the risk threshold for any actor contemplating military action against it. However, such a move also carries escalation risks. The presence of strategic weapons in Latin America could spark a regional arms race or prompt increased U.S. patrols and deployments of military assets around the Caribbean. Neighboring states, even if not directly involved, could be affected by rising tensions and greater security uncertainty in their region. In the short term, there has been no official confirmation regarding a timetable or final decision on the delivery of Russian long-range missiles to Venezuela. Nevertheless, statements by senior Russian officials and confirmation of strengthened air defenses in Caracas point to a deepening military partnership. This situation underscores Venezuela's renewed role as a focal point of great power strategic interests, with implications extending far beyond bilateral relations and potentially reshaping security dynamics in the Western Hemisphere. Several defense analysts interpret these developments as a signal of a return to patterns of strategic confrontation reminiscent of the Cold War, albeit with different characteristics and instruments. Whereas deterrence once relied heavily on troop deployments and formal alliances, relatively low-cost but high-impact long-range weapon systems are now seen as key tools for altering the balance of power. In Venezuela's case, the presence of long-range cruise or ballistic missiles could address a major gap in its defense posture: its inability to pose a direct threat to strategic U.S. assets.